Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on the e-learning platform of KRT Arts, Commerce, and AM Science, that is KTHM College Nasik. I am Sharayu from the Department of English. In the previous video, you studied the structures of simple and compound sentences. In this video, you are going to study the structure of complex sentence. First, first see what is a complex sentence. A complex sentence is made up of an independent clause and one or more dependent clauses connected to it. A dependent clause is also called a subordinate clause. These are the three examples of dependent clauses. Because Mary and Samantha arrived at the bus station before noon, while he waited at the train station after they left on the bus. These are the examples of dependent clauses. In the first example, you will find that the dependent clause begins with because, the second dependent clause begins with while, and the third dependent clause begins with after. So subordinate clause always begins with the subordinating conjunction. Now this is the analysis of complex sentence structure. The example is, I'm extremely happy since I retired. I'm extremely happy is main or dependent or principal clause. Since I retired is subordinate or dependent clause. You will see here subordinate clause begins with subordinating conjunction, and this subordinating conjunction joins two clauses. One is main clause and another is dependent clause. So dependent clauses begin with subordinating conjunctions, and this subordinating conjunction or subordinating conjunction is sometimes called a heart word. Now these are some examples of common subordinating conjunctions: after, although, as, because, before, even though, if, since, though, unless, until, when, whenever, whereas, wherever, while, how, what. These are some common subordinating conjunctions. Now, a complex sentence joins an independent clause with one or more dependent clauses. These are the examples. I did not see them at the station because Mary and Samantha arrived at this bus station before noon. Now, in the first example, there is one independent clause and one dependent clause. Dependent clause begins with the subordinating conjunction because. In the second example, Joe realized that the train was late while he waited at the train station. In the second example, Joe realized is a is an independent clause. That the train was late is first dependent clause, while he waited at the train station is second dependent clause. So in this example, there are two dependent clauses. In the third example, Mary and Samantha realized that Joe was waiting at the train station after they left on the bus. You will find one independent clause and two dependent clauses. So Mary and Samantha realized is a main clause or a principal clause. That Joe was waiting at the train station is first dependent clause, and after they left on the bus is second dependent clause. There are three types of dependent clause. First is noun clause, then adverbial clause, and third is adjective clause. Let's see what is noun clause. A noun clause usually follows the main independent clause. Look at this example. The underlined parts are subordinating clauses. What John did amazed me. I don't know what he is doing. Where I put my book is a mystery. I wonder how he feels now. So, these are the examples of noun clauses. Next is adverbial clause. There are some types of adverbial clause. Adverb clause of condition, adverb clause of reason, adverb clause of time, adverb clause of purpose, adverb clause of concession. If you find these subordinating conjunctions, then the clause is adverb clause of condition. In the same way, if you find because, since, as, then it is adverb clause of reason. If you find before, after, while, as soon as, when, since, until, one of these subordinating subordinating conjunctions, then it is adverb clause of time because it indicate these subordinating conjunctions indicate time. If you find one of these subordinating conjunctions, then it is adverb clause of purpose. If you find one of these subordinating conjunctions, it is adverb clause of concession. Look at these examples. I'll go if you go as well. Here is the condition. I'll go if you go as well. So first part is main clause and second part is independent clause. Dependent clause means subordinate clause. As it's his birthday, let's book a nice restaurant. So it is adverb clause of reason because it contains subordinating conjunction as. In order to improve hospitals, there must be more investment. In this example, in order to is subordinating conjunction. In the last example, he's upset. He failed the test even though it's his own fault. In this example, even though is subordinating conjunction that makes subordinating clause. Next is adjective or relative clause, the third type of dependent clause. It's acting as an adjective because it modifies a noun or pronoun. The clause will start with relative pronoun like which, who, that, whom, where, whose. Look at these examples. People who are smart follow the rules. People who are smart follow the rule. Now this subordinate clause modifies the noun people. Look at the second example. Sonali has a friend whose daughter lives in China. Again, this subordinate clause modifies the noun. The reason why Rani went to law school is that she didn't want to be a teacher. This is also an example of relative clause. The used car which my dad bought last week broke down yesterday. So which my dad bought last week is subordinate clause and the used car broke down yesterday is main clause and it is adjective clause. Now in this video you studied the structure of complex sentence. Thank you. Stay home and stay learning.